Three, two. Yes. Welcome to the show. Dawna, awesome. Have you on. I've been setting this thing up for maybe like a week and a half now. So, got our audio situated before the show. Happy to say we are ready in here. And I definitely, I don't remember when I followed your page, but I followed you for a while now. And, I know that you're definitely somebody who puts a lot of work into your craft and somebody who's been doing the damn thing.
Thank you. Oh, I lost you. Are
For
you
a
there?
long time. Had to have you on to. Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
I did. I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
here.
for a long time.
Yeah, it froze on my end a second too. I was like, oh shit. But you've been doing working with 10 Planet for a while now and doing you said right before the show, your black belt. So that's a good starting point, I think, is, I'll start with when did you get into doing
Sure.
jujitsu and when did you get linked up with 10th Planet?
Yeah. Right from the beginning, I didn't know anything about jujitsu, so I was a boxing fan. And back in the day, a million years ago, I was a massage therapist, and I was playing pool one night in Los Angeles with a friend, and we met two brothers. One of them happened to be a boxer. His name was Layman Brewster, and he was like, "Oh, you're a massage therapist. You should come massage me, and you should massage my manager, and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Cool, yeah." So I worked on a lot of athletes. I had like basketball players I would work on, and like soccer players, and so I mean, I was a massage therapist. It was my job. So I became friends with Layman, and his manager. This is going to get really name droppy, so I apologize. So his manager at the time was Sam Simon, who is one of the creators of The Simpsons. So Sam ended up hiring me to massage himself and Layman, and I became their massage therapist. And then he found out that I was a boxing fan. And so he was like, "Oh, I'm going to take you to Wild Card Boxing." So he took me to Wild Card Boxing, introduced me to Freddie Roach, worked on those guys. And then, long story short, he ended up in a bet winning a year-long membership for me. Like, whatever it was, he was like, "You guys have to train Dawna for a year." They just let me come in and box. It's fine. So that's how I started boxing. And because I was a massage therapist at the time, boxing and massage therapy weren't really compatible things for me to do a lot. So, like, my wrists were killing me. But I met some really cool people, and I realized that I really liked training. I had no desire to fight or anything, but I had a lot of fun training. So I kept in touch with all of those guys. I did the year. I was trained by a guy named Sammy and another trainer named Mecca, who has passed, but all like well known at Wild Card. Freddie was amazing. His brother Pepper was amazing. All those guys were really cool. And then I was like, "Hey, my wrists are killing me." So I did it for like a year and a half, and then I had to take a break because my wrists were just killing me. And but I somehow I stayed in touch with that world. And then my brother called me one day, and my brother used to train with Dick Rufus's brother Rick in Tempe, Arizona. So there was a gym out there where Rick was a trainer. So my brother was taking kickboxing classes with Rick, and I had gone to take a couple kickboxing classes with him when I went to go visit. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much fun." So my brother called me one day, and he's like, "Hey, there's an MMA gym in Hollywood." This was circa 2007, 2008, right? So right when UFC was kind of going mainstream, but not super mainstream, like right on the precipice of it, like Strike Force existed, stuff like that. So he was like, "You got to go to Legends. It's Randy Couture's place. Rampage Jackson trains there. You should go take kickboxing classes." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like fun. I'll go take kickboxing classes," because I wasn't doing massage therapy full time anymore at that point. And I was like, I can train now, so it won't be so hard on my wrists. So I went and I joined Legends, and I just joined the kickboxing classes and the MMA workout class, the cardio classes. And when they sold me my membership, they were like, "We're gonna throw jujitsu in. We're gonna give you a full membership." And I remember being like, "Oh, thank you, but no, I'm good. I'm good." And they, like, I don't even know what that is. I'm not interested. And they were like, "Whatever, like, you're getting a full membership. If you ever want to use it, cool. At this time, Legends had MMA on one side, and then like the gym split, and the other side was pole dancing and spin. So I was like, well, cool, I'll take those classes. Like I had zero interest in jiu-jitsu. I didn't even know what it was. So started training, and like I'm in the midst of like the names of that time. Like Rampage trained there. Connor Hune, who's a strike force fighter who now owns 10th Planet Denver. He was one of the trainers. Like you name the strike force guys. Cowboy Cerrone was coming in. Like guys that I had no idea, like absolutely no idea who any of them were. Bunch of actors worked there, like trained there. Like it was Devin Sawa trained there. Just all these people. So yeah. And I had no idea. I mean, but that's Hollywood. Like you go anywhere in Hollywood and you're like spending time, like that's just kind of how it was. Like I used to massage like really famous people too, because you're in West Hollywood. You have no choice but to be surrounded by people in the industry. So it wasn't that unusual, but I also didn't realize who I was around as far as being in the MMA world. So I'm taking the kickboxing classes, and I remember a guy I became friends with. His name is Dave Callahan. He wrote The Legend of Shin Lee. He writes for Marvel. He's a writer. He was a writer back then. He was writing TV shows. He was one of Eddie's guys. And he and I used to take the kickboxing class together, the kickboxing and MMA workout, which is like a cardio MMA based class. And he showed me how to do a single leg. And I remember being like, well, that's interesting, but that's not information I'll ever need in my life. Literally, that's what I said. The first time somebody showed me how to do a shot. And then he showed me, my first submission that he ever showed me was a Peruvian necktie, like a beginner. I had no concept of like what. But anyways, like I just had so much fun hanging out with these guys. And I became friends with one of the girls, and she was like, yeah, you know, that guy, Eddie, he's like famous. Like people come from all over the world to train with him. He's a really good jiu-jitsu coach. And I was like, oh, I was like, that guy with the long hair, whatever. Legit. I was like, and then one day after class, my friend Charlene and I, who is now a black belt under Cobrinha, Eddie walked past us. We were wearing like tank tops and booty shorts. And she was like, Eddie, can we take your jiu-jitsu class? And he's like, yeah, get on the mats. Like super cool. And so we did. Nobody taught us any fundamentals. Nobody like gave us an introduction. They were just whatever. And so we did, like, we just rolled around and grabbed each other. But everybody was so cool. Like they were in Hollywood. It's such a like refreshing thing to be among people who don't want anything from you and are just like cool and aren't looking to social climb and aren't looking to like advance whatever their career is. And so I just really liked these, like hanging out with these guys. It was much healthier than going out to a bar every night. So without really having any context or agenda or really even knowledge of what was going on, I just kept showing up because I liked being there. So that was around, like I said, 2002, 2008. I started hanging out with these guys. Didn't know the gi existed. Didn't know anything outside of, like, to me, Eddie is jiu-jitsu. My entire context of jiu-jitsu is built around my friendship and like training with Eddie. So when people were like, 10th Planet is not real jiu-jitsu, like people would say that and I'd be like, I don't understand. Like I didn't know the gi existed. So I was like, what do you mean? And so I would just like regurgitate whatever I heard Eddie say. I'd be like, well, how does pushing and pulling help with grips and like hooks? Like I didn't know what the fuck that meant. Anyway, so that, you know, years later, fast forward 15, 16 years later, I'm now one of Eddie's black belts. I run 10th Planet South Bay with PJ Barch. I was one of the first women to teach at 10th Planet HQ. And yeah, like here we are. I certify self-defense coaches under me. I help women. I work with women in all types of situations, survivors of like every type of assault that you can imagine. I work with women in rehab. I work with trafficking survivors. And I also teach jiu-jitsu athletes from white to black.
Holy shit. That's a journey. And I mean, God, I probably around the same time, maybe that's when I first heard Eddie's name, was like 2010 or something like that. Maybe a little bit after that. He's such a legend of the game. Synonymous, of course, with BJJ, but you know, with I think the first time I saw him actually was on the Joe Rogan's old the Ice House podcast he used to do, and
Joey and all those guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's God, like all these names are just. It's true. Like that really was around that time is when the UFC was becoming mainstream. So exciting to. I mean, it's still exciting to watch now. It's just, it's WWE era.
It's not as small and as intimate. Like back in those days, and I say this about 10th Planet too. So now, when I started 10th Planet, there were maybe, I think, 13 schools. Period. 13 10th Planets. We are now well over 200. I think we're probably closer to 300, and we have over 400 black belts. So, and we had 0 black belts when I joined. 0.
Damn.
Yeah. So, 10th Planet is a microcosm, in my opinion, of the UFC. Back then, it was like you were in this club, right? This little tiny club that you knew everybody, and it was such a small community that you felt like you were like a part of this like cool, special, small thing. And now, which is cool, it's what we wanted. We wanted the sport to grow into this worldwide phenomenon, but like it's akin now to any other major sport. People are like, oh, you're a football fan? Like, yeah, you can have your team and like, you know, you can wear your jerseys, but it's not the same as like being in like this small, intimate, cool club. And that's kind of what's happened over the last 20 years ish.
Yeah, I mean, as Max always says, it is what it is, but it's crazy to see where it is now. And I mean, it's weird to think like, you know, a lot of people that I've talked to like in the combat world on my show, I always end up asking them who do they think would be the next fit for UFC president, who would be the best.
Ooh,
because
people say.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always thrown out DC's name. I mean, but to hear from you would be interesting.
Oh gosh, I feel a couple of years ago, I really started being more focused on jujitsu. So I'm not as into the UFC as I used to be. I feel pretty disconnected from it. Like I don't really watch the fights unless it's somebody that I know or that like a fight that I'm really interested in, which is usually like the women's fights or like this last weekend, D-Rod fought. He's a friend of mine. That's such a hard question. Obviously, maybe an ex-fighter makes the most sense. You know what I mean? Somebody like, well, I guess Big John wouldn't make sense because he's also older. You want somebody young and fresh who's like has their finger on the pulse of what's going on now, but also somebody who understands. And there's very few people that really understand the sport. Maybe DC, maybe like any of those guys that were at the peak of their careers within the last 10 years. So they have their foot both in the old school portion of UFC in the fight world and the new iteration of it. Somebody who like you want that like Gen X-y millennial person, right? Maybe not even Gen X. You want that millennial guy that's going to like be aware of both like the traditions and where they came from and like what it took to get to where they are, but also somebody who's can listen and relate to these young fighters coming up because their experiences are so much different. There's like these are professional fighters that are like getting to train at the UFC Institute or whatever they're calling it. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you were in your dude's garage or like the one gym, and you know what I mean? Like it's not not the same world that those guys came up in. So you need to be aware of both and have a healthy respect of the past, I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe they could make me the president. I'll do it.
You should. Oh, that would be. I would never want to hear the whole, the shit that the UFC catches from the political world again. Hey, we made a female the president.
I don't allow politics in my gym at all. We don't talk politics. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what your opinion is. You want to come do jujitsu with me? Cool. I'm going to teach you the best jujitsu in the world. I got PJ Barch. I got way more important stuff to talk to you about. You keep that shit outside.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, that's why I think somebody like Chael's not meant for, maybe meant for politics, but I don't know about the UFC game because he's been in it, but being a president of it, I feel like you have to have sort of more of like the company man mentality and not be a wild man.
I think you want to go in the direction of the WWE. Like, are you guys trying to be sensational? Are you guys trying to be polarizing? Are you guys trying to alienate a certain portion of your audience? If the answer is yes, then I guess like do your shit. You know what I mean? Or do you want to be a professional sports organization who has to realize that if you want to be bigger, then you have to be more widespread in your message?
It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. I'd like to see that it took this long for Dana to get into boxing. I mean, what do you think about that? Because I mean, the state of boxing today, I guess that's a whole nother conversation. But it's
What do I think of Dana White in general? I mean, he sounds like an obnoxious person. Like like how much are you on? I don't know. It's the fight world. So when you look at it, you have to look at it two different ways. Jiu-jitsu is the nerd portion of the fight world. So you're dealing with very different personalities. And there's always going to be the meathead factor and the bro factor and the what's the word that I'm looking for? Like the machismo, like hothead factor. Like you have to have that. You're not going to have all like, it's not going to be a philosopher in there beating somebody's head in. You know what I mean? Like there is that. You have to tap into people's animal instincts in order for them to be productive fighters. Like that's a thing, right? So for us to expect the UFC to be evolved is a big ask. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a certain aspect of animal instinct, of that thing that people have tapped into. Now, jiu-jitsu can expect that of people because it's a very cerebral sport and we're much smaller and we're not on that level. In 20 years, we're going to be having a different conversation. I don't know. But my opinion of MMA, and it's just mine and people can choose to agree with me or not, is you have to let it be what it is. And depending on who is speaking at the moment, there are promotions that are going to present themselves differently than the UFC. The UFC has chosen their personality. And for anybody to be like, why are they? They chose their personality. They have this meathead who's and like the two, what are their names? I always call them the Fratelli brothers, but I know that's from the Goonies. The Fertitta brothers. You know what I mean? Like they came in with a persona and they leaned into that, and like good for them. There's going to be, a different personality when Shannon Knapp is running Invicta, and then somebody else is going to come in with a different promotion, and maybe I don't have the answers, but there's one king in UFC right now, so maybe they're doing their right thing, and then the people, those of us who maybe have slightly different personalities and are on the outskirts, maybe we're not their target audience right now anyways.
Oh, I love the Goonies, but very well said. And it's interesting to see now people like, Craig Jones, who are just getting these, pumping fun into it because I don't know. I mean, now
Jiu-Jitsu super, and it's filled with a bunch of nerds.
Yeah. It's just, God, I love getting on Insta and seeing he has posted something new. It's just so but it is true that it is.
Look, I'm going to show you something. I'm in my gym right now, and we have the first CJI pit in San Diego.
What?
So PJ is going to be on the next CJI with Team 10th Planet. So we built a pit for PJ to train on.
Oh my God. I'm getting the exclusive.
Cool, huh? So we've got
Yes.
that wall, and we've got a pit wall down here.
How long did that take to put together?
Um, we have some really talented construction guys on our team. It took them, I'm gonna say, they only did it on the weekends, so maybe 6 different weekends.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah,
That's I've never had anything like that on my
it's cool.
podcast. Hell yes.
Yeah,
So,
South Bay right there.
and is it like do you ever like, can you stay the night there, that kind of thing if you wanted to, or is it just
No, we're just a gym. Like we don't have like dorms or anything for fighters. But PJ does have a lot of guys come and train with him. So we're in Chula Vista. We're in the sunny, beautiful San Diego. We have tons of Airbnbs nearby. Why would anybody want to sleep? This is a basement. We're in like the only basement of San Diego. So this is a basement. And no, this is just a gym. We're open. We start our classes at 6 a.m. and our last class starts at 7 p.m.
okay? So yeah, I've been to San Diego one time, and I did all the like touristy stuff, Old Town and Coronado and all. But I definitely have got to get back there. Is it now? Where are you from yourself?
I am a California girl born and bred. I was born in NorCal in San Jose, and then I was raised in the Los Angeles area near Pasadena. That's why I
Oh,
trained at TU, and now I live in San Diego.
let's go. Pasadena, home of the greatest rock band on earth, Van Halen. Yes.
Oh, I
So,
didn't know I realized Van Halen. There's a lot of people from there. Apparently, what's his name? Zach De La Rocha lives down the street from 10th Planet Pasadena. Because a friend, a brown belt over at 10th Planet Pasadena, is a pool guy, and he used to do De La Rocha's house.
holy shit.
Yeah,
That's
and I was like, that's so cool.
that's. I always said I don't think I'll ever make a walk in any sort of combat, but if I did, my walkout would be Testify, Rage Against the Machine. That'd have to be it, or
I play
I
Rage
can't afford.
quite often.
Yeah, I see exactly. That's the gym, the Bible
Yeah,
for music right there.
for sure. Old 90s grunge, early 2K rock. My students get a lot of that.
Yeah, that it felt like I had a house of fighters when I'm from Virginia, and I lived with a bunch of fighters at one point, and every time I went to their gym, it was like always that, or they played the new country. One guy, he consistently would walk out to the breakup song by Greg Kihn band, so just like random stuff would be dropped in there too. I'm like, you guys make no sense, but it's
My
uh,
students, not it's so 90s 2K rock and rap, and then current rap. That's pretty much my playlist. Oh, and like girly pop. Every once in a while, because I'm girly pop at heart. I'm like wearing pink. I have pink toes. It's funny because like I'm teaching jujitsu, but like I'm the only one in the gym that'll be like wearing pink and turquoise. Um, but yeah, so it's all of those things and girly pop. Like sometimes people come in, I'm like, we're doing jujitsu to Taylor Swift today.
you got to do it to fit a little Britney in there every once in a while.
Right, Taylor, Dua Lipa, all those girls.
Oh my lord, I feel like that was half of what would be the fight on the radio when I was a kid with my sister would be like that kind of stuff. And she saw Taylor Swift back in like 08, 09 when I lived in Virginia. That was I was like, you're on your own. I'm never gonna get into this sort of stuff. But then she took over, and like how famous Taylor Swift is now. That's where Britney Spears was like
Yeah.
back in like 06, 07. Britney,
Yeah.
some iconic shit right there, and she's she was the original what's the guy who used to cover her, Perez Hilton. Yeah, he used to be
Oh
like
yeah.
the original influencer.
Go on his website.
Yeah, I have a buddy in California who does a radio show, and he had him on recently, and he looks exactly the same. I was like, damn, man, like he did age really well. I guess he
I
always
follow I actually sat at a table with Perez Hilton. I have all these name droppy stories. Okay. So I went to a benefit with a friend one day, and it was for like the LGBT Center or the Trevor Project, some gay centric program in LA. And we got sat at a table with Perez. And I remember this was when he was at the height of his popularity. And back then he was kind of chubby. And I remember him just sitting there not eating, and we were like, are you going to eat? And he was like, no, I'm on a meal prep service, so I ate before I came here, so I'm just here for like the whatever it was, like the speakers. And there was like um when they were an auction, thank you, jeez, an auction. But I sat at a table with him, is the point. Yeah.
Whoa. God, yeah, that brings me back because that was high school when all that was happening with his page, and he runs his own page today. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus, dude,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
He found a niche and he leaned into it and was like, I'm riding this thing. I respect it. I respect the hustle for sure.
It's true, yeah. I mean, and I feel like that's sort of what's happening, yeah, in sports now with the UFC specifically. It's fascinating to see. I mean, some people were made for it from the start. I think like Connor was obviously one of the ones that was, and I'm blanking here.
No, like people outside of the sport, they always bring him up and they're like, he's the best ever. And I'm like, he's not really the best ever. He's good, but he's the best at promotion ever. Like the best ever usually doesn't get all of the attention of anything, right? But the people who are really good at themselves are the one, and that's what Connor does. And there's a lot of people that are really good at that are, they're good. Nobody's taking away their talent from them. But if you're good at marketing and you have talent at whatever the thing is that you're doing, you're the star.
He promoted the hell out of himself, but God, yeah, and this is coming from somebody who's 98% Irish. I don't see him as, he's to me definitely the best at promoting, but I could see in like 2016 when he fought Nate the second time, I was like, I think this is really where his UFC career is.
Poked him on his jaw. Is that the one?
What'd you say?
When Nate got the choke on his jaw?
Nate?
Nate.
Oh yeah, so Nate got the rear naked in the first one, and then the second was a majority decision. I remember because I don't know how.
Yeah, or whoever was. Remember
the neck crank.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the Habib fight, which that was the worst I've ever seen Connor for sure. Like I was drinking I don't drink anymore, but I was hammered for most of Connor's fights. And I remember Tony, yeah, because I was more hyped for Tony fighting that night because he fought Pettis, and that's when, he got in some trouble in the first round or like early in the second round, but then he got out and did the some roll. I can't remember the name of it, and he ended up just battering Pettis, and then he won. And when he called Connor out, it was like, yeah, I think this is the fight to make, whoever wins Connor and Habib. And then it went the way it did, but I'm so pissed that fight never happened, Tony and Habib, because he was so interesting when he was on that 12-fight win streak. I mean, Tony needs the respect because that guy, he brought it every damn time. He was fun on the mic, but unintentionally, it's just bringing a baseball everywhere.
You can't deny his style. He's his own thing. Do you train?
No. So it's surprising, right? I just moved down here and I'm putting the pressure on myself to find somewhere in Florida to train. And,
where are you in
Florida? Near Jacksonville, St. Augustine.
Oh. Yep. Well, there's 10th Planet Jacksonville. You want to go there?
Is there a 10th Planet in Jacksonville? Damn, I didn't know that. Okay, so yeah, all the people that I know, like the tiny amount of training that I've done was up in like Virginia and like getting towards DC area. So I don't pretend like I'm into it at all, like other than watching it, but it's something that I want to do because I got into I got way too into partying back in my 20s, and then I stopped doing that, and now I'm into fourth year of sobriety, and I was like, it kind of got to the point of where it's like now I want another challenge, and I think that's the way to do it is to just
Yeah.
jump into something like BJJ because I don't have anything like other than I work out my legs every week, and it just gets boring, and you got to put yourself into the line of fire, even if you're not making a walk, you know.
Fun. Jiu-jitsu is so much fun. It's basically a puzzle. If you are a person that likes puzzles, it's a very cerebral sport. That's why we have so many nerds. And it's one of those things that you will never run out of things to learn. I'm almost 17 years in at this point, and like weekly, I'm learning new things and evolving, and I'm a different person, a different grappler than I was when I got my black belt 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
And has there ever been a time where you had to use it when you
Out
were out?
I mean, I pulled a pit bull off my dog once in a rear naked choke. I've definitely used it as a party trick before.
Oh my god! Have you ever been to like being out somewhere where
No,
you had to use
that's so
boxing?
no. So I got in fights as a teenager and as a young adult before I ever learned how to fight. But ever since I've actually had fight skills, I've never had to fight publicly. The last time I was hit in public was in a bar in Arizona. I think I was like 21, and this guy was asking me for my phone number. I don't know. I was like getting sassy with him or whatever. And he followed me out of the club and to my car. And he ended up punching me in my mouth he leaned in and tried to take my keys out of the ignition. And so I grabbed his hand and like pushed him out of my car, and he just cracked me. And he actually ended up knocking out my front teeth right here.
Wow.
Or hit in public, and I didn't know how to fight then. After that is when I started training.
Jesus. I mean, the teeth look fantastic, but
I paid a lot of money to get for these.
God, that's just the thing with it too. Is I feel like BJJ specifically with jujitsu, you don't know who the badasses are. You go down that route.
Look for people's ears. Maybe it's something that I'm conditioned to look for now, but I'll be out in public and I'm like, oh, I see. That's the universal symbols to not fuck with that guy.
I remember being when I lived with the house full of fighters, we would be at the bar and they taught me that they're like the cauliflower ear. They would be pointing it out at the bar. They're like, that guy trains. They do.
Yeah. The quiet confidence. We're really close to the Navy SEALs training center. There's tons of military guys. We're in San Diego. We have tons of military guys in all branches. But I will say this, the super quiet guys who are not like big and braggadocious, like those are the scariest guys. There's a couple guys that come in here that very quiet, very soft spoken, very respectful, but there is like an energy that comes with them, and you're like, that's a scary man.
Yeah. No. Some of them, man. I mean, like you look at like a Chase Hooper. I mean, that's you don't think when you're looking at some of these people, but you kind of get around them and you're like, oh, there's sort of some have an aura, but some of them.
Yeah, you feel the vibe. You learn very quickly. It's just like I would say being around a lot of black belts. You know what I mean? Like you can feel the vibe between being around a lot of blue belts who are super excited about their new skills, and they're learning this new thing, and they're like wearing their t-shirts and their keychains, and they're like, I do, you know what I mean? And then you're around like really seasoned black belts, and they're like, I don't really want to cause any attention to me. I'm not, you know what I mean? And there is a quiet confidence that comes along with being that skilled.
It's true. Yeah. Like the what there, I mean, all these trolls that get into it now, and I just don't understand what you stand to gain in a situation like that. Like the one, like Sneeko, I think is his name, the one that got into it with Sean Strickland. It's like, dude, he's a unit.
My unfollow and block game on social media is very strong. I have zero tolerance. I'm just like beep, 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 because I did spend a lot of years arguing with people, and I've come to a place that my peace of mind, my mental health is way more important. So like as soon as you get stupid, I'm like block. Unless you somehow benefit my life or bring some kind of energy that is worth fighting over, I don't care. I don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, you get Michael Bisping said, once you get past a certain age, it's just not, what the hell are you doing out there?
Maybe I'm just old as fuck, and I'm like, I don't care.
It's like, that's the way it feels. It's like, the amount of times I was getting into squabbles with people and like what it was over when I thought back on it, it's like I have no desire to be the person I was when I was 22 as opposed to being 32 now, because
same. Like, no thanks. I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, the amount of fucks that I have to give in the world are so finite that like you better make me care to give my fucks away.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you're around, the baddest in the world. So I mean, when somebody's, like they I'm sure would have to really piss you off to get them to give attention.
I mean, I can get spicy for sure. I have when I'm teaching my self-defense classes, like I call it my bitch switch. My bitch switch is on a hair trigger. I have no problem pissing you off. That's I have zero problem with like any of that, but also a lot of it is because I have such a low tolerance. It's not really taking away anything from my peace of mind to switch my bitch switch. So I'm also like one of the nicest people in the world. Like I'm known for how nice I am. Like I'm known as the 10th planet mom. I'm an incredibly nice, caring person, but also, again, I only have so many fucks to give. So I have no problem telling you how I feel.
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking about Mayhem Miller back in Bully Beatdown, being like, remember, I can also whoop ass. Like
exactly.
You got to turn it on.
Too. He was one of the first fighters I ever met.
You said he was one Mayhem Miller was?
Yeah. He used to train at Legends back in the day.
Whoa. I'm so happy for that guy. He went through, I know he had his share of shit that he went through, but good dude, it seems like.
You got to remember, a lot of fighters, like, nobody was really looking at the effects of TBIs back in those days. And like so much has been learned since then. And then add in the layers of people dealing with their mental health, and people also, the levels of awareness weren't what they were today. And that's Mayhem went through a lot, and he's not the only guy that had those factors to deal with. Do you have to be a little crazy to be a fighter? Like to be like, my job is going to get punched in the face by this person, and our job is going to be to figure out how to dismantle each other's bodies. Like we're kind of weird people who do this.
Yeah. That's a fantastic quote, because I remember there was a fight years ago with Masvidal and Al Iaquinta, and it was a controversial decision, and Al won. And I just remember the crowd started booing him, and he's just like, you guys booing me? I fought my fucking ass off. It's like what they do. I mean, like, my God, you gotta pay the respect to the people. They're getting punched in the face for a living.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, these are guys that are sacrificing their bodies, literally, for our entertainment. And people don't understand the worst fighter in the UFC is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, God, and you know of all levels of, I mean, is that something that's ever happened in the gym where somebody tried to, test one of the more skilled fighters not knowing what they were doing? Or
Sure. I would say it maybe happened at HQ. HQ was one of those places that did attract people that maybe had something to prove, or like they want to come and like not challenge Eddie. Nobody ever really came in to challenge Eddie, but like wanted to show off in front of Eddie. That happened a lot. It's in downtown Los Angeles, so there was just our share of craziness there. It does not happen. I would say at 10th Planet South Bay, no. But so PJ's the owner, I'm the GM. We work very hard at creating a very welcoming, friendly atmosphere that people don't come in with a puff chest in our gym, and like it's not really the gym to do that. We have a sign right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says think high. I'll read it to you. So I think highly of yourself and deeply of the world, or think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. So what I always explain to people is we take our jujitsu very seriously here, but we do not take ourselves very seriously. So we just don't have a lot of room for big egos at this gym. Like, I'm not putting up with it. You're not coming in here and like dojo storming us. You're not going to come in here and like think you got something to prove. Not in my gym.
God, yeah, you got to be a special kind of crazy to come off the street and be challenging D-Rod or challenging Eddie. I don't understand it. Like,
yeah, Eddie mostly gets like conspiracy guys. Like, I remember once before I left HQ, when I still lived up there, some dude was like sitting in our lobby, and he had like folders with him, like big fat ass folders, and we thought it was somebody's dad because it was an older guy, and he was just sitting there waiting. And as we're like closing up the gym, he was like,
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
What sorry. I didn't hear the story. Where could you start again?
Yeah, Eddie doesn't necessarily get guys coming in to challenge him, but he does get, Eddie's a big conspiracy theorist. So he gets guys that like want to contact him about conspiracy stuff. So there was this one time that we were at HQ, and by the way, classes at HQ go till like 10:30. Even before the pandemic. Like, we were a late training school because when we started, we were all young and like rock star hours, right? So we're leaving, and there's this dude sitting in the lobby, and we thought it was somebody's dad. He's an older dude, but he had folders with him, like binders, several binders with him. And we're all cleaning up, and all of a sudden he was like, I need to talk to Eddie Bravo. And we were like, what? And he was like, I need to talk to Eddie Bravo. And Eddie was like, shit. I don't remember how, but like Eddie was like, don't leave me here by myself. I think he was just like, hey man, thanks for coming in. I don't really have time to talk. I don't know how we like whatever got confused, but like it was one of those things that we were like,
I hope my mom never meets Eddie. Oh my God.
Eddie. Okay, I will say this about it. I love Eddie. He's a very special person to me. He's, my coach. I've been friends with him for years. I don't necessarily agree with him on most things. However, he's a good dude. He has such a good heart, and he has a good soul. And there's that part of him. Like, he's a character, and he's made himself a name for himself in with conspiracy theories, and obviously he's insanely talented with jiu-jitsu. There's also a very sweet person inside of all of that is like, he's a good dude, and he's also a cult of personality. So like, that's why so many people want to be near him and like in his orbit, not like no pun intended, or pun intended, whatever. Yeah, like people just want to be in his orbit because he is such a personable cult of personality.
He is. I mean, that's what I think people are drawn to with him. I mean, and coming from somebody who knows him personally, it's It's good to hear what you have to say about it as opposed to, because I mean, online, God, like there's so much that can influence us nowadays, especially. I'm glad that he's kept his head straight with all these people coming in and
like again, I don't agree with everything that he says. We butt heads on some things, but you can, like a family member. Like, I don't have to totally agree with everything that comes out of his mouth to know that I love that guy.
hell yeah. Well, I'm glad it's cool to hear about, some of your heroes being real G's, behind the camera. Because I mean, I've watched a lot of his content, and I mean, he's a solid dude. He seems like one of those, dads that's in your corner.
Yeah. He super loves his son. And Eddie's exactly the same dude that you see on the internet and in person. He really is. He doesn't put on pretension. He doesn't put on fronts. Like, Eddie's Eddie.
Do you think that he's going to keep running the gym a lot longer? Or is that something that he's talked to you about eventually taking over, or somebody else? Is that something can't really share?
I can't do this forever, right? There will be a point in time that he's going to have to retire or step aside, and he's going to want to do that. My opinion, I haven't had the conversation with him. This is just what I suspect, because this is how I feel about myself too. We're going to run this shit till the wheels fall off. And then when we're not able to do this anymore, we won't.
It's a good way to do it. Burn out, then fade away, as they say.
Yeah. I think Eddie's going to be around for a really long time, whether that means he's coaching or just like a figurehead. He's not a spring chicken anymore. None of us are. And at some point he will have to step away, but he's got tons of guys that can be there to run his schools, and, maybe he'll open up another one and let somebody else run that, or I don't know. But my idea is, like, at some point I won't be able to do this anymore. At some point I'm not going to be able to, like, train with bros, like 20-year-old bros. So maybe I'll just be creating events and, like, being involved in that way when I'm no longer training and coaching. But, like, right now I still can, and I love doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as my body will let me.
Are you into, like, the influencer fighting world at all, or is it something that you would not want to get into?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think I kind of, like, am that. I have a podcast. It's not necessarily jiu-jitsu based. I used to have a jiu-jitsu based podcast. It was called Mat Therapy. And we used to record out of Joey Diaz's studio, the church of What's Happening Now. And we stopped doing that podcast. But I just recently started recording a new podcast. I haven't released any of the episodes. This is the first person I'm talking to this about. So if you know me and if you follow me, you know that my whole thing is women's empowerment. I'm a girl's girl. I love helping women, empower women. I'm all about just being supportive of badass women. And one of my favorite quotes in the world is, thank you. One of my favorite quotes is, well-behaved women rarely make history. So I named my podcast Misbehaved Women, because I'm just talking to badass women who are doing their things.
I actually, in my living room, have something on the wall that says that quote exactly.
I love it.
That's so, I love that you have. Now, with the podcast, do you do everything for it? Like, book the guests, do the audio, all of that?
I do that. I run events. My dream is also to start a women's invitational and pay female fighters, female jiu-jitsu athletes. The goal is to somehow, like, get corporate sponsorship and elevate the level of how women are being paid in the sport.
You can do it. I mean, I can tell mentally you got what it takes for it. I mean, you got the education on the mat. You have a good mind that's, fresh as those 20-year-olds. They
hope so.
They keep us. Oh, hey, I'm a big supporter of the podcast idea, and any idea you do. I mean, it just sounds like it's going to be a success, and You need guests to come on and ever talk about UFC. I'll admit, didn't watch the card last Saturday, but you did neither. Yeah, that's it. See,
The highlights from D-Rod's fight. That's it.
yeah. I couldn't keep up. I didn't even know. Somebody said Canelo's fighting this weekend. I'm like, who? Like,
I don't know. I run a jiu-jitsu gym. I can tell you all 10 of my guys who are competing this weekend. I can tell you what time their matches are. I can tell you what's going on in my gym. But if things aren't happening down here in the basement right now, I probably don't know about it.
yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Yeah, it has to have, you have to have a little skin in the game, right? Because I don't know. I can't get up for every single event, but I try and put on the UFC, and I have my channels that all, the live streams going in the background, whatever I'm doing on a Saturday night. But, maybe we'll have that one day from Dawna, have her UFC stream going in the background when I'm driving,
Possibly. You will definitely have my other podcast to listen to. And hopefully I have some, I always have ideas. If you know me, if I'm always like, I got this idea and I got that idea and I got this idea. So hopefully there will be things for you to listen to soon if all of my ideas I'm able to put together.
Hey, you ever need to add another hopeless man to the list of guests?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so into the I almost, when I started this show, it was just combat, but I was like, no, I'll open it up to other sports. But it feels like 60% of my guests are combat people.
Okay.
Couple.
That's the cool thing about our sport is that fighters are still accessible. They're not like football players and basketball players who aren't necessarily super accessible to fans anymore. Even as popular as MMA is, everybody's still accessible. And that's one of the really cool things about where we are in the sport right now.
It's true. Yeah. I have noticed that with a lot of football players and basketball players. Just contracts and whatever. Yeah. I can't, if somebody wants to come on and talk, that's just, I've always looked at it that way. And then I remember, oh, wait, they might have this or that. And it's having a girlfriend who's an actress. I've learned about all sorts of different, the writing that gets put into it. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's probably why they don't want to do it. Some people just ghost you when you reach out to them and you're like, all right.
The sport is still cool like that. And you're still connected to, at least in my gym, I have people who I'm fans of still come train here at HQ. Obviously that happened a lot, that on any given day, anybody can walk in, but the same thing happens down here is that PJ is such a well-known and respected competitor that we are very lucky that we have some really high level people come and train with us. And it's really exciting to get to train with them and learn from them and have this be a place that they want to come train. That's something that's really cool and special.
Hey, I'm all for it. And thank you for telling me that there's a 10th planet.
I want to hear going and taking your first jiu-jitsu class.
Yes. I had a similar experience where when I lived in Virginia, I trained a few times at the gym that they had there. And I got offered to be, to do jiu-jitsu one night, and remember turning it down, and I was like, all right, I got to get back into this. And years have gone by. So now I got to put it on my shoulders.
Oh.
Go do my Connor walk in there. No, I'm not going to be. I'm telling you, it's good to meet people like you who are, you need the motivation to go do it. And I feel like I know a lot of comics and they're not into getting down like that, not athletic. No offense to any comics listening, but
it'll keep you young. And I guarantee you whenever you start, you're going to be like, man, I wish I had started earlier. Go start now.
Yes. Yeah. While I still have good knees, I used to play baseball and somehow they've held up. I don't know how, but I want to do, the 10th planet here. And I got to look up how far I am from it.
Yeah.
Cause It's like, yeah, St. Aug is like 45 minutes from Jacksonville, so I can make that trip. I mean,
sure, fair enough. But I'll say this: obviously, I'm biased towards 10th Planet. I think you should always train with us. However, I just want to see people train. So go train. If there's somebody that's closer, that is more convenient, that you'll get to, because that 45-minute drive, as much as you're like, it's not so far. When you're having those nights that you're like, should I get up and go? Should I get up and go? If it's 10 minutes away, it's going to be much easier to get up and go if it's right there.
It's true. That is true. God, I feel the same way with bikes sometimes. Like, when I was first starting out doing like stand up, I'm like, I don't know about that. But when it was 10 minutes away, I was like, nah, you're just being a lazy ass. Get up.
And you could just create the discipline for it, right? Because motivation doesn't come from like this outside force who you're like, I just can't wait to go. No, motivation really comes from being disciplined and be like, this is what I do on this night. When people talk to me about jujitsu, and I'm like, if you want to be a jujitsu person, if you want to do this for the rest of your life, then just decide that this is your personality. When you decided that you were a comic and you made it part of your identity, it wasn't like, should I be a comic today? No, I'm a comic today. You know what comics do? They go to open mic. Same thing with jujitsu. Make it a part of your identity or whatever. Like if you want to be a runner, if you want to be whatever, you know what I mean? Like make it part of your identity. You don't wake up in the morning and go, I wonder if I should brush my teeth today. You get up and brush your teeth because that's part of what you do in your life. So if you are a comic, part of what you do is going and getting the workout on stage. If you are a jiu-jitsu guy, part of what you do is training, and it's just in your schedule. It's not figuring out if you're going to train, it's figuring out when you are going to train because it's what you do.
Well said. I mean, perfectly said. You don't have to think about it twice.
Yeah, you just make it part of your identity. That's what I tell my guys. I don't want to hear it. You decided to be here. Tell me when you're going to be here. Get your ass in here.
This is cool. I'm glad that I rarely get to do any of these shows like during the week with people. It feels like I'm always scrounging to get like, can you maybe do a Thursday night or something like that? But man, this is awesome.
This is perfect. I taught 12 o'clock. I'll teach 4, and then I teach 7.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, okay, you got your hustle down. Yeah, it's easy for me to go off of West Coast time because I butchered it earlier. I said girlfriend, but now fiance is from Los Angeles.
Congratulations.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I had to get that right, or I'd get hung right after I walk out of here.
You gave her the title. You better make sure you use it.
That's true. Yeah. Now we're torturing ourselves with where's the ceremony going to be? Because I have my family all out here. She has hers out there. We're like, let's just go to the middle of the country, St. Louis.
Choose one or the other.
Yeah. No,
or Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico. See, that makes sense because she's Mexican. Like it's funny because she has like all of her family from years ago. Like when we did the ancestry stuff, we did like done the kits and all that. A lot of the death certificates are in Mexico or in Spanish, not Mexican. So yeah, that would make sense. Mexico. It's today. I wonder how much that would cost, but that's an interesting idea, actually.
Probably cheaper than doing something in Florida or California.
Oh my God. I don't want to. Florida, like right now, is unbearably humid. So, like in July, yeah, no.
I'm biased. Mexico is like my favorite place ever. So, if I had to do it all over again, I got married in Los Angeles. I don't regret it. I loved my wedding. We got married in downtown LA in a hotel called Hotel Figueroa. It's literally like right from HQ.
Wow.
But that's where I got married. But it was also 15 years ago. So.
Damn, so you dodged all the inflation.
But I just threw a party. I didn't do a dinner. I didn't have any bridesmaids. We didn't have groomsmen or bridesmaids. We just got married. The hotel at that time was like a Moroccan theme. So we got married in this room that looked like the inside of a genie bottle. There was just like cushions everywhere and like tapestry, and it was just so beautiful. So we did a party. We just had open bar, appetizers, desserts. We got married in the same room that we had our ceremony, but it fit me. It fit my personality. Like it doesn't, that's not going to be everybody, but it worked for us, me and my husband and me as a bride. Like I wanted something very non-traditional. So it worked for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's everybody has, this idea of married, they're just at like the generic kind of wedding in Hawaii idea, and not getting married in Hawaii, but like it's everybody's different. That is true. And like we're batting around the idea of like our first dance music being the Seinfeld theme or like
Do
death
it.
metal. Yeah.
Yeah,
See, I
do
love
it.
that idea, and I look like with my beard, that you've maybe seen in pictures, like I look like somebody who comes from like a Gigi Allen poster or something like that. Or like a Slayer concert. So
Yeah, do
it'll
it.
come together.
I walked down the aisle to Madonna and he came into a metal song, like a slow metal song.
See, yes, that's exactly it. She's talked about, yeah, Madonna as being one of the ideas. So, oh
Yep,
my
I watched
God,
Cherish from Madonna.
I'm telling you, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it when you see your ideas come to life. But they have to be your ideas, and
Do your individual. Don't worry about it. Just be you. Just do whatever's gonna make you guys the happiest, and everything else is fine.
pretend.
Oh no,
I
I lost you.
totally agree. Yes, and you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
God, this room is. I get bad internet in the entire state. I swear. It works, but it doesn't work if that makes sense. But I just realized, yeah, I've gotten you at we have just gone over the 1 hour mark. So excuse me, I know that you got a class coming up, what, in like 45 minutes. Hey, I appreciate your time for sure. And we're trying to my parents have always wanted to go to San Diego, so I'm trying to get them to go, but if they don't, I know I'm going to visit again, and I'll
Yeah.
absolutely stop in. I won't bring the binder for Eddie, but I'm
Come
I'm
on.
coming
Well,
in.
in San Diego, come to San Diego. You'll love it. Come train. There's also a brand new, look it up. It's in Chula Vista. This gigantic resort is now being built. There's a lazy river, and it's supposed to be like one of the most amazing resorts ever being built. So come enjoy it. It's right down the street from the gym, like 5 minutes away.
Yes, yes. All we have here is Margaritaville, so it's going to be refreshing to not hear Jimmy Buffett.
There you go. Come get some new energy.
Yes, they can still have margaritas there, but I'll be in a different place mentally. That is, it's what this was all about. We're talking about good mental space, and
Yes.
you
Protect
are.
at all times.
Yes, I appreciate you giving me your time. Definitely, you got a lot of things you're doing and succeeding at all of them, and
Well,
that's
thank you for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
anytime. It's here for you, and I love hearing that you're developing a new podcast. So keep it up, and I'll be here to. You don't need Eddie to drop the conspiracies. I'll come on anytime and do that.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'll take you up on it.
Absolutely. Dawna Gonzales, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for coming on today. And I'll spare you sponsors and all that stuff, guys. Drink W Energy. That's all I'm going to say anyway about it, but I guess I didn't spare people of the sponsorship talk. But regardless, thank you, Dawna.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Absolutely. You as well.
Awesome.